Are you scared of speaking English? You are learning English. You're watching an intermediate level video, this video. So I assume your English, your level of English is good, not bad. It's good, but not really good. Just good. If you understand this video, or most of what I'm saying, then I think you must have already listened to a lot of English. You must understand a lot of what you hear. But you probably still have a lot of trouble speaking. It's probably still very difficult for you to speak, for you to say what you want to say, for you to express what you have in your head. If this is true, then maybe you are a bit scared of speaking English. I think there's a reason for this. There's a reason why people like you who are learning languages are scared to speak in the language they're learning. It's because they're not ready. Often, it's very normal. Other people push us to speak in the language we're learning. If you're taking classes, language classes, to learn a language, the teacher often pushes you, forces you to speak. But how can we say something in a language that we haven't learned yet? We've only learnt a bit or even half of the language, but half isn't enough. In your native language, your mother language, you can say nearly anything you want. You can speak about nearly everything. There are some things when you want to speak about very small, fine details that can also be hard to speak about in your own language. But most things are no trouble. You have the confidence to speak about nearly anything. That's why you're not scared to speak in your own language, or at least you're not scared in the same way. Maybe you aren't a confident person. Maybe even in your own language you lack confidence, but that's a different type of fear. That's a social fear. You're scared of making mistakes in front of other people. You're scared of what other people might think about you. But when you're learning a language, there's that fear, that normal fear as well, but there's an additional fear. You're scared because you're not confident. But why would you be confident if you feel that you can't say what you want to say? Like I said, in classrooms, people, the students learning the language, are often pushed to speak. But speaking won't help you learn. You can only say what you've already acquired, what you've already learned. You can only talk about the things that you have the ability to talk about. You can't force yourself to talk about something you're not ready for. And that's why people lack confidence, why they're scared to speak a new language, because they're not ready yet. There's too many holes, too many gaps in the language in their head. They're not ready. It's normal to be scared to do something if you feel or know that you're not ready for it. If you, when you try to speak, are constantly, regularly having trouble, making mistakes, and having to stop and think, how do I say that? Then, of course, you're not confident in that language. Of course, you're scared to speak it because you know it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be very difficult and unpleasant because you can't express, you can't say what you want to say. You can't express what's in your head. So it's like any other area of life. We're scared because we're unprepared. You have to listen, understand lots in the language you're learning before you can speak with fluency. What does fluency mean? It doesn't mean you're the same as a native speaker of that language. It doesn't mean you can speak it perfectly, but it means that in general, in most cases, when you want to say something, it will flow out of your mouth. That's what fluency means. You won't have to constantly stop and think. Thinking isn't fluency. Thinking, having to think, makes you anxious and nervous because you have to think about how to do something correctly, and you worry about doing it incorrectly. But if you're fluent, you don't even have to think. You just say it. Once you're fluent, the big reason for your fear, the big reason why you lacked confidence, will be gone. So, to overcome your fear, to gain confidence in English, in the language you're learning, don't push yourself to speak. Don't force yourself to speak. Relax, take your time, and listen lots. Get as much input as possible. As much input that you understand, that's entertaining, that's interesting, as is possible. And when you're ready, when you're finally ready to speak, you'll know it because you'll just say things. You'll be able to say many things without having to think. At the end, after 1,000 or 1,500 hours, it depends. Each person is different, but at least after 1,000 hours of good, comprehensible input, then is the right time to push yourself a little. Because even though you may be fluent in the language to a large extent, you still have that little bit of fear about doing something new. And that's the sort of fear that's good to overcome, to push yourself through. But before that, there's a reason why you're scared. Remember that. There's a reason why you lack confidence. And it's a good reason, because you're not ready. And how do you become ready to speak? First, listen lots. All right. See ya.